So before I get started on this video, if you're one of those people who likes a drafty, inefficient house that costs a lot of money to heat and cool, this probably is not going to be the video for you. But if on the flip side, you're looking for ways to make your home more efficient and more importantly, keep as much money as possible in your pocket every month, then let's get into it. Hey guys, how you doing? Werenka here. I'm a state of Michigan broker for Simply Home. We're the fastest growing real estate company in the United States. And I've got an all-star team. So whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, rent, whatever you need, we've got you covered. We even do property management now. So we're shooting this at the tail end of one of the coldest winters in recent memory in Michigan. It's been absolutely frigid since Thanksgiving, essentially. And nationally, utility bills are up 10%, but here in Michigan, for a variety of reasons, it's more like 20 to 30%, depending on where you are in the state. One of the reasons for that is back in November, Consumers Energy got a rate increase approved of 8.1% for natural gas. And at the same time, DTE got a rate increase approved for electricity as well for 4.1%. And then we got slammed by such a cold winter that usage went up 25%. And all of that translates into a state full of very unhappy utility bill paying customers. So let's talk about the things you can do to make your home as efficient as possible, keep as much money in your pocket as possible. The best part is this works just as well for summertime as well as for winter. So what we're going to do is talk about the things you can do to make your home more efficient, more weatherproof, and hopefully keep as much money in your wallet as possible moving forward. And we're going to start with the things you can do that have the highest return on investment. Along those lines, probably the best thing you can do as a homeowner is air seal your attic. We all know that warm air rises, but what we don't want is warm air rising right out of the attic and out of the roof and into space. So let's talk about ways that we can keep all that warm air inside your home. Even the most well-built home on the planet has, tiny gaps around, chimneys, around vent stacks, around light fixtures. And those little holes are just notorious for letting warm air escape out of your home. And the way that we address that is simply to use a can of spray foam. Just go up there and anywhere you see a gap or a hole, just spray the foam into it. It'll seal it up. And a lot of times that actually does more to insulate your home than the insulation itself. And then the second most effective thing you can do is just add more insulation. Most older homes are anywhere from like an R19 to an R30 in the level of insulation they have in the attic. The modern standard today is R49 to R60. And the best way to add extra insulation in your attic, provided that you're not using it as like a storage space or a living area or something like that, is to just use blown-in insulation. Super easy. You could actually do it yourself. You can rent a blower from Home Depot. You just get bags of insulation. It blows it up there. And then you want to spread it out till you have about 15 to 20 inches of insulation up in the attic. So far we're using a little bit of blown-in insulation and the blower is probably going to cost you, 50, 60 bucks to rent from Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace or wherever you want to go. Generally, any place that rents equipment will have those. So we've got that and we've got a can of spray foam so far. And that is literally going to save you probably hundreds of dollars over the course of a year, depending on the size of your home. Number 3 kind of ties into number 1. We're looking for any gaps, not up in the attic, but we're looking around doors and windows, and adding weather stripping is going to be a huge help in keeping your heating costs down. The way I look at it is if you can see any kind of gaps around your door frame or any windows in your house, you're essentially paying to heat your driveway. And the easy fix for this is anywhere you see gaps, you just replace like the worn out compression strips that are probably already installed in your doors and windows, and just install like a heavy duty door sweep. And for windows, use, V-seal or foam tape on the sashes. And if you have newer windows, especially like double pane, low E windows, those do such a good job of keeping the heat in and the cool in the summer. But, around here, especially Metro Detroit, a lot of the homes are a little bit older, from the 19 teens all the way up to like the 50s or 60s. And if you haven't gotten your windows replaced yet, you're probably dealing with, wood windows, which are notoriously inefficient, or aluminum windows, which aren't much better. And literally just using the plastic film over the windows is super easy to install. That's really cheap to buy. and it will pay for itself many times over throughout the course of a winter. So far, we're talking about a can of spray foam and some window kits, maybe, and some weather stripping. You're in for under $100 so far, not counting blown in insulation. That's a little bit more expensive, but the blower itself isn't that expensive to rent. So let's talk about what else you can do. A lot of this is going to be, simply sealing gaps. It's one of those things where you don't really need specialized equipment. It's going to take, a couple hours of walking around your home, identifying areas. But the next thing you can do really is just seal up, the ducts in your heating and cooling system. In a typical house, no matter how efficient your furnace is, you're probably losing 20 to 30% of the heat in your home just through gaps in the ductwork. And I know, everybody wants to use duct tape for the ducts, but that actually ends up drying out over time. So the best thing you can do is use mastic sealant or the actual a magnetic aluminum tape. You'll be amazed at how much more efficient your furnace is once you do that. Let's talk about installing outlet gaskets. So this is going to be for any exterior electrical outlets on your home. Pro tip, any exterior outlet you have around your house is essentially just a hole letting cold air in or hot air in the summer. So we need to seal those up. So what we're looking to do to rectify that is called a foam gasket that just goes on the inside of the faceplate of the outlet. And those are literally only about 20 cents each, and it takes you all of about 30 seconds to install them. The next thing you can do is pretty common sense. It's just add a smart thermostat or at least a programmable thermostat. Two of the top brands of smart thermostats, and I'm not, promoting either one of them, but Nest and Ecobee are two of the big ones. And the really top of the line ones actually use like local weather data to adjust the heating and cooling of your home. So if there's a cold front coming in, it could actually like preemptively heat your home so that it's more comfortable when you arrive. And every programmable thermostat that I know of at this point, or smart thermostat, has an app. You can actually adjust it from your phone. So it'd be one of those things where, you can turn it down while you're gone for the day. And when you're ready to leave work, you can turn it back up so that when you get home, it's nice and comfy inside. Because one of the most inefficient things you can possibly do in your home is just heat it like your whole family's in the house when nobody's there at all. And then there's a couple other things you can do that seem kind of counterintuitive to making a more efficient home. It's more along the lines of like water management, but look at it this way: wet insulation is useless insulation. So let's talk about a couple other things you can do to make sure that we're not going to have an issue like that inside your home. And again, like I said, it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but one of the better things you can do to make your home more efficient to heat and cool is to just address any gaps in downspouts and gutters. We want to control the water runoff in the home, make sure that every drop of water that hits your roof is going to end up 5 to 10 feet away from the foundation. We just want to make sure that the grading is where it needs to be inside your home. So, and what I mean by that is, like, if water hits next to your home, does it flow away from the house or does it flow into the house? If it flows into the house, we're going to probably need some fill dirt. We're just going to boost that up a little bit so there's never any water collecting right next to the foundation. The reason why we want that, for obvious reasons, obviously, if there's a crack in the foundation, that water is going to find its way in. But more importantly as well, even if there are any cracks, just the hydrostatic pressure, meaning like the water that's built up around the outside of the foundation, will push moisture through into the basement or the crawl space. So we want to just control as much water runoff as we possibly can. And again, 5 feet is perfectly acceptable to have that away from your home. 10 feet's better, but just somewhere in that range. As long as the water is not pooling right up next to the foundation, you should be all right. And then we talked about using spray foam, things like that, to seal up any gaps on the inside of the home. Well, the same thing has to happen on the exterior of your home as well. So we're going to want to caulk around any, gaps around windows, around window frames, things like that. Basically, anywhere that there's a pipe or a wire or anything jutting out from your home is going to need to make sure that it's sealed up. And the material that you want to use there is a relatively high-end silicone or polyurethane caulk. The reason for that is it handles temperature fluctuations better than most other types of caulk. And living in Michigan, we get plenty of temperature fluctuations, so we don't want to cheap out on this one. And again, that's anywhere, outside faucets, cable lines coming into the home, telephone lines coming into the home, things like that. Just seal around it. Once that's done, you probably check once a year. But once you do it, you should be all set for a number of years. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about for this video, there's hundreds of things you can do. We could talk all day about this, but one of the other, most effective best ROI things you can do is just insulate your water pipes and your hot water heater. The hot water inside the pipe is always constantly fighting the ambient temperature outside the pipe, which is going to be considerably less. So the more insulation we can put around those pipes, the less you're spending to just basically ambiently heat your basement or the walls, where the pipes are running through. And the best part is this material is super cheap. You can just pick it up at a hardware store, and you really only need to insulate about the first 6 feet of the hot and cold pipes that are coming into and out of the hot water heater. So I really hope this helps, guys. Everybody's heating bills are going crazy sky high. I don't see that changing anytime soon. The one variable in Michigan that is the weather. You never know. Maybe next winter it's 60 degrees the entire winter long. Who knows? It's Michigan, so eventually it's going to come back around. We're going to have another winter like the one we just had. And if you take these proactive steps that, don't really, none of these things cost an arm and a leg. They're all relatively extremely affordable. And maybe just pick like one thing, a month to do. And by the time next winter rolls around, you're going to be all set. But if there's anything I'm missing, anything that I didn't address, obviously reach out anytime. My direct line call or text is 586-491-5622. Shoot me an email, Werenka@simplyhome.com. I'm on all the socials. Shoot me a DM or simply put a comment down in this video. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. And if you're still hanging around at this point, I would truly appreciate a like and subscribe, and definitely, leave a comment if there's anything else you want to know about. I'm happy to make videos on whatever topic interests you guys, as long as it pertains to the housing market in Metro Detroit, obviously. And until next time, guys, we truly appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week, great rest of your month, and we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.